for her to go sit.
Anybody's always out. For a zoning change. And whether or not he would have to go.
Right now. I'm going to call to order the Planning Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. My name is Scott Winkowski, and I am the chairman of the Planning Commission. To my right is Tim Zale. To my further right is Mayor Safarian. And on video here present is Yusuf Olive. And he's on a little bit of a delay. So Greg Vrieslar is not here, and he will be absent, so we have four. In order to pass any motions made by this committee, it takes 3 affirmative votes. For those in attendance, we are going to call all of the zoning changes on the A1 district, which is on Corduroy Road near Wynn. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will introduce those. We're going to call all those as one. For anyone that is going to comment or speak, we are going to speak only about these properties and not about any future properties. If so, I will cut you off. We are going to speak about these properties and these specific requests for zoning changes. The first one before us is Z 821-25, zoning change from A1 Agricultural District to Advanced Manufacturing District on the properties described as 4825 Corduroy, parcel numbers 44-09964, approximately 9.5 acres, 4919 Corduroy Road, parcel number 44-09970, approximately 1.515 acres. 4811 Corduroy Road, parcel number 44-10111, approximately 0.5005 acres. This zoning change is being initiated by the City of Oregon on behalf of the owner, Oregon Economic Development Foundation. Second one is Z 822-25, zoning change from A1 Agricultural District to Advanced Manufacturing District on the property described as 445 North Wynn Road, parcel number 44-09971, approximately 1.904 acres. This zoning change is being initiated by the City of Oregon on behalf of the owner, Valerie Bauer. Z 823-25, zoning change from A1 Agricultural District to Advanced Manufacturing District on the property described as 505 North Wynn Road, parcel 44-09969, approximately 2.189 acres. This zoning change is being initiated by the City of Oregon on behalf of the owner, Edward A. Parker. Z 824-25, zoning change from A1 Agricultural District to Advanced Manufacturing District on the property described as 535 North Wynn Road, parcel 44-09968, approximately 5.039 acres. This zoning change is being initiated by the City of Oregon on behalf of owners Norman and Petty Nickerson. Z 825-25, zoning change from A1 Agricultural District to Advanced Manufacturing District on the property described as 4961 Corduroy Road, parcel number 44-09967, approximately 1.54 acres more or less. This zoning change is being initiated by the City of Oregon on behalf of owners Robert and Carol Lannon. In order to start the discussion, Mr. Mazur from the City of Oregon, City Administrator, your floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to start off, I know that a lot of those listed properties, when they were filed, were owned by the previous owners, but the majority of them, 5 out of the 7 parcels listed, are owned by the Oregon Economic Development Foundation at this time. There are 2 properties remaining. Right now, Louisville Title is working on the title work for the 2 remaining ones. We should be having scheduled closing dates by the end of July and early August on the remaining 2. So yes, these 7 parcels are currently zoned agricultural. They are in the process of all 7 being acquired. And the reason is that on November 4th of 2024, City Council was presented with a purchase and sale agreement for the properties in the industrial park. Over the past several years, the city has acquired these parcels for industrial development and has also gone through some zoning changes in this area as well. Again, somebody will have to correct me, this was before my time, but maybe around the past 8 or so years, this has been in the works. As you can see, if you recall back then, again, I wasn't here at the time, but Windscape was constructed to meet up with Parkway Road. That was grant funded through the Federal Economic Development, the EDA, through an EDA grant. Again, with the intent that this would all be developed as an industrial park. So the city has acquired several of these parcels. And then in the end, we did find a developer for them. A developer of a data center for this parcel. So this is just the northwest corner of Wynn and Corduroy Road. So on November 4th of 2024, the purchase and sale agreement was approved by City Council. And then also signed by the administration, so the mayor signed it. In the agreement, there is a zoning contingency where it says that the city shall have a period commencing on the effective date, 270 days, to rezone the property for the intended use, which the intended use for this lot is a data center. Subsequent to this, this would have been in March 24th of 2025, there was an ordinance that was passed as well to purchase one of the 5 houses on that corner. By that time, what I'll refer to the Gratz property, or the 2 furthest west parcels, were already acquired by the Oregon Economic Development Foundation. This was March 24th of 2025. That purchase of that parcel of, now I can name it off, it's 4919 Corduroy Road, was approved for purchase. And then on April 28th of 2025, 4 pieces of legislation were passed to acquire the remaining 4 parcels in that corner, with the intent to rezone it and eventually close on it for the development of a data center property. With that, like I mentioned before, we've had public meetings about this. I know that there was some chatter on Facebook about data centers and what's going where, but on this particular property, for a long period of time now, like I said, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but around 8 years, these properties have been accumulated and acquired by the city over time for the purpose of developing an industrial park. So this is the last piece of rezoning that's being requested. Once completed, this will have satisfied the zoning contingency of what's in this agreement that was approved late last year. So I guess with that, I'll leave it up to the Planning Commission to ask questions. And
I've got a couple
follow the
questions.
process.
As I look at that map there, it appears as though a Nebraska-style cutout is already advanced manufacturing other than what is the green square. So if this is approved to advanced manufacturing, it will essentially be a rectangle for all advanced manufacturing. What is the footprint of, as you know, of the data center that's gonna go in? Is it just going to be the green space, or is it going to include some of that yellow space on this diagram?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a good question. It's good to clarify this, but it will be the 7 parcels in the green, it'll be all of the yellow, and everything south of Parkway and east of Blue Heron Drive. So it's, I can pull out the acreage in the agreement, but I believe it's 168 acres.
Okay. Any other questions from the panel of Mr. Mazur? Mr. Schrake, do you have any comments or anything? I don't want to skip you, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Project Review Committee and the Building and Zoning Department have no objections to the request as submitted.
Mr. Roman, any comment? Okay, we'll go through that. Then we will open up the floor to those people that have signed in, and if you haven't signed in, don't worry about it, we'll get to you. I don't know who's first, but who wants to come up first, whether you are for or against, we'll take them in all orders.
Good evening.
Oh,
My name.
Hold on. And when you come up, please state name and address, if you would. That would be the best way to do it, and then you can say what you want.
Good evening. My name is Amy Mottmuller. I live at 5040 Corduroy Road. I stand before you tonight as a resident who is deeply concerned about the construction of a data center essentially in my front yard. I want to be clear. I understand that progress and economic growth are important for our community, but it is equally important that we weigh the real, everyday impact this facility will have on the families who have chosen this area for its quality and suburban living. A data center brings minimum benefits to our local residents. It does not create permanent jobs. It does not bring walkable amenities like shops, restaurants, parks. It does not contribute a vibrant, livable suburban community. What it does bring are significant negative effects that we'll be forced to live with on a daily basis. Noise pollution, the constant hum of industrial cooling systems, and backup generators that run day and night, not to mention the almost 1 million gallons of water to cool. Light pollution, bright security lighting that will disrupt our night and diminish the peaceful characteristic of our community. Heat, waste, and microclimate changes that will that serve as excess heat being vented outside affect the nearby yards and can change snow and melt patterns and local air quality, decrease property values, our home investments, and our sense of place are put at risk when industrial development invades areas meant to be suburban living. Beyond these direct impacts, I am also deeply concerned about the broad consequences of change of agricultural zoning to advanced manufacturing. When we rezone farmland and green spaces for industrial use, we lose more than just open land. We use rural benefits that give our suburban neighborhoods the sense of peace and space. It means loss of local food production and open spaces which impact our environment and quality of life. Increased industry traffic and infrastructure demands which stain our roads and public services. A permanent shift in how our community grows once farmland is converted to advanced manufacturing really goes back. This decision sets a precedent for pushing industrial projects deep into our residential and agricultural areas, eroding the very character that makes our communities desirable for families in the first place. There is also the loss of community character to consider. Many of us choose to live here because we feel like peaceful suburban living, not an industrial park. A data center in the middle of our homes does not align with the vision of healthy, connected, family-friendly suburban area. If we truly want to develop the benefits of our community, we should encourage projects that offer good jobs, local spending, social spaces, and shared communities. The data center simply does not deliver on those fronts. In closing, I ask that you please listen to the voices of the people who will be most impacted. I urge you to reconsider placement of this data center and the harmful rezoning of the agricultural and advanced manufacturing. Please prioritize the well-being, sustainability, and future livability of the community over the interest of the large corporations and that contribute little to our daily quality of life. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the residents of our city.
Thank you. No, let him go, and then we'll do it at the end. Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Gift. I'm at 490 North Wynn Road. I am right across the street from the proposed rezoning. I'm speaking here today to express my strong opposition to the proposed rezoning of the parcels mentioned today. I am really concerned that this rezoning is not being conducted in the public interest, but rather to fulfill a private agreement made between the city and a developer. Based on the city records and public meetings, Joel, your statements last night, and your statements today saying that this was a contract deal contingent upon zoning, it is clear that the city and/or OEDF and/or mixed altogether entered into purchase agreements and sale agreements that includes a zoning contingency requiring the city to rezone the land within 270 days. This means the outcome of this hearing was effectively predetermined, and the rezoning process we are witnessing today appears to be a formality to execute a contract that was agreed to in advance. This was a rubber administrative stamp today. Our voices won't even matter. This violates the principles of transparent governance and may constitute unlawful contract zoning under Ohio law. The contracted agreement was made with no regard for what citizens had to say. Ohio courts, in fact, federal courts dating back to 1926, have foundational case law on this, and Ohio goes back to 1988, have ruled that zoning decisions made to fulfill private agreements prior to proper public notice and hearings are invalid. This is the first public hearing on this land that we've had, and it's too late. Cities are not permitted to use their zoning power as a bargaining tool in private development deals. It's a constitutional and due process violation. Furthermore, this rezoning does not even align with the city's comprehensive plan. The final survey results aren't even due till next week. It doesn't serve the public interest. To the contrary, it prioritizes private commercial interests over long-term planning vision for our community. I go to this where here it is. Illegal contract zoning, here's some signs. They're privately negotiated with the developer, check. Driven by a private deal, check. Rezoning pre-promise before hearings, check. Legislative process is a formality. Decision is already made, check. I respectfully request this body reject the proposed rezoning and take immediate steps to ensure that any zoning decisions are made in accordance with the law and the city's comprehensive planning documents. The time for meaningful public input was way back when the city, through or with the OEDF, bought, what do we call it? It's a project, all of the property and all of the houses for the $17.3 million. And you know what? It's too late now. That was a backdoor deal and none of us were involved. We don't expect that anymore in the future. And in fact, I would love for you guys to do some research. Fairfax, Virginia amended its zoning ordinance to strengthen provisions for data centers, including design standards, setbacks from residential areas, noise environment requirements, and requiring special exception approval for most data centers. You're not prepared for that. You haven't done it. Everybody knows what that building on Lollendorf looks like, and those poor people across the street, and you're not doing it to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Not sure who's next. You're more than welcome.
My name's Kevin Richardson. I live at 4802 Corduroy Road, across the street. I haven't been to one of these council meetings before, so I appreciate the ladies that came up. They had a lot to say and very, very good points to make as well. I'm in advanced manufacturing, however, I'm against this as well. I've been in advanced manufacturing for 34 years. I do a lot of sales across with one of the largest softwares in the world. With advanced manufacturing, this is not advanced manufacturing. This is going to wind up being probably at the most maybe 30 jobs these hold. I go around to where a lot of these servers are at as well. And I don't need to add more than what they just said about high energy consumptions, water consumptions, electrical, toxic waste, all those things are very. What I don't understand during this process or meeting, I don't know if there's any rebuttals, so maybe an answer would be there as well, but I'm not sure if there's any rebuttal from council. Also, if you do rebuttal, I would like to know from council who all voted for this as well. That's all.
I'll just address that. This is not council. This is planning commission. It will go to council, my understanding, so council will do it. All of the contracts that have been approved were approved unanimously by council. The purchase contract between the manufacturing company that's done it and the homeowners themselves, all of those contracts, and there were 7 of them, were approved unanimously by council. That's what puts us here today. The planning commission is the first step in any zoning change. That request comes to us based upon our recommendation to council. Council will then have hearings and they will vote on the zoning change at some later date, probably about 30 or 45 days out.
Between 30 and 45 days.
So it will go to council.
From
Yes.
when this is ruled out.
So there will be another, so the final arbiter of this will be council. We are the first step in either approving or recommending disapproval. And so that's the decision that we made. And I do have to address one thing. To say this is rubber stamped, it's not. I was made aware of what's on our agenda Thursday of last week. So no one contacted me personally. No one contacted, I believe, other than the mayor, obviously, knew what was going on, but no one's contacted me, and I will be the first one to say that, regarding anything what's going on with this property. And Thursday was the first time I was given any notice that the zoning change had been requested.
So is it the first time you heard that there was a deal on contingency? A deal was already made for rezoning?
Absolutely.
Then you understand that it's a constitutional violation going into your vote.
I don't know what the constitutional status is, but it wasn't a done deal to me, and I have a vote in here today to do that. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Roman.
just a comment. All of the past legislation for these property purchases, as well as that project agreement with the developer, was done as a public meeting in this room. And that agreement that was passed with the developer was November 4th as a special meeting in this room. They're all public meetings. Mrs. Gift was a speaker at that meeting.
But were there signs on the property saying you're rezoning it?
It wasn't a zoning decision at the time. That was a project agreement. And it was a public meeting. That same agreement that you just referenced tonight, I want to make it very clear to this audience, it was a public meeting.
But the rezoning is different.
Rezoning is different, and that is this process, and this is also a public meeting.
And I guess I'd have to see, was the agreement in there that we could agree with contingency with the 2%?
I have the ordinance with the agreement attached. I have the minutes from the November 4th meeting.
But there are no signs posted saying.
Because there wasn't a zoning. It was a decision on whether you do, what processed a project agreement.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's Jim Davis. I live at 5494 Bayshore Road. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for 48 years. I understand what impact large industrial projects have. There is going to be an impact on utility prices because typically industrial customers get preferable rates, and those infrastructure costs that are added get ended up in our utility rates. I also question about the construction process. We have done many major construction projects. It has a huge impact on the neighborhood with construction vehicles, noise, et cetera. I also question about whether the construction is union or non-union. Makes a big difference to this community. And then the environmental impacts, pollution, NOx. Was there an air permit even granted or applied for this facility? The impact of noise and heat generation. Data centers generate a huge amount of heat, which has to be rejected, typically with cooling towers, which will impact the local climate. I have to finally ask, is this done for the benefit of the residents or the industrial user? This is a residential community, first and foremost. Yes, there are areas that are suitable for industrial. Putting this development in the middle of a residential area is a mistake. It will have an impact on local property owners' values. We just constructed a house a year ago. It will have an impact. We live on Bayshore. To get there, we go via Wynn. So yes, we will be affected by this. Just as currently on Wynn Road, there is construction that's affecting the residents. Finally, a question about the tax implications. Was there any tax abatement offered to this developer? Was there any infrastructure improvements offered to this developer? And in the long term, what's the impact of any tax revenue gain versus the property taxes lost? Thank you.
Thank you. There was another gentleman that got up. I would write them down, and in the end, I think we can address them, because there's gonna be some overlap, so.
John Brock, 6136 Grizel Road. I'm also a professional engineer. I've been a structural engineer for 40 years. I've seen these structures. You approved this development with no information provided to the population of Oregon about what these actually look like. These are an eyesore. They're noisy, they're ugly. This does nothing to enhance our community. It will decrease our property values. This is not an appropriate use of that space. It is not advanced manufacturing. It will have minimal employment. It will require improvement in our infrastructure that we currently do not have, and it will affect all of our utility rates negatively. This is not an appropriate use of that space.
Amber Buckley, 5423 Corduroy Road. I've never been to a meeting like this before, and my perspective is a little different. I didn't look into environmental or anything. I'm looking at my children. They have to walk to that school. There's no sidewalks, no lighting. You're gonna put a big building there with more traffic. So that's my concern, and I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Hey, got an opinion.
Hello, Christine Gladio, 512 South Wallendorf.
For once, I don't have my data or my spreadsheets because I'm going to talk more about what Oregon means to all of us. We're always chasing the next dream. We want roundabouts because Perrysburg has it. Now we want a data center because all of Ohio, it's the big rave. And cities are making lots of money because what you're paying these homeowners is at least 10 times less than what you're going to recoup when you resell this land. And you can Google all the transaction to validate that. But my concern, and my family's been here for generations, this is green space. We have a beautiful park, and if you think that park isn't going to be impacted by this, you're nuts. And I live right across the street from the park, so I want to protect that. But I'm into songs, and I just want you to listen that you can buy dirt, this is Luke Bryan, and thank the good Lord for it, because he ain't making any more of it. So remember that. We need our green space. Stop chasing what the new rave is in the communities. Thank you. Talk about the public meeting. So in Ohio, a standard council meeting does not by itself satisfy the public notice requirement for rezoning. There's an Open Meetings Act, Revised Code 121.22, zoning specific public hearing notice, like we're doing now, 519.12. Again, all this should have happened way back when.
I didn't write on the list. Should I write on that later? Okay.
You're fine.
My name's Elizabeth Williams. I live at 5146 Nader Drive. Many, many, many decades ago, I worked in planning and zoning for the village of Waterville and for the city of Perrysburg. At the time that they had the Levis Commons zoning being put together, I was the interim planning and zoning commissioner, believe it or not. But my concern about this is, as I'm looking at it, having an advanced manufacturing zoning being so close to a residential area. Typically, you have kind of a step-down zoning. Maybe you'd have like an R2 that would be across the street, or maybe you'd have something else there. So I'm just kind of surprised that it's such a steep drop in the adjacent zoning. I haven't looked at your plan. I've had some problems finding it on the website. We've lived here, I think, for 7 years. So, one of the other things I was concerned about is in our neighborhood, which is just off of Bay Shore. It is not unusual for us to have our power go out. We've received some information from the Toledo Edison asking us how often does our power go out, and it's more than once a year. And I've never worked someplace that had that kind of situation or lived someplace that was that way. So I'm kind of concerned about how this will impact our overall power grid and its stability. I mean, I'm looking at a power plant, and yet I won't have power at times. I have another concern about, of course, we have the sound of the fans going all the time over at that lovely power plant. I know it's an old facility. I know that the technology at the time was probably that was the best they could do. I'm hoping that with this facility that there will be the best for trying to ameliorate any of these kind of problems that we'd have, that buffer zones would be constructed. I mean, we have the capability, we have the ability to make these kind of demands for city council people. I hope that you would make those. I hope you'd make it not be a big box that we're just looking at a wall all the time. It's kind of unimpressive. Nobody wants to look at the back end of a Walmart. Nobody wants to look at the back end of a data center either. Cooling for the water. So when we had the water outage, I lived in Waterville. I lived in Haskins, tiny little town too. And I lived in a place that actually had water. And I think Oregon was in a similar situation. You guys still had water while the city of Toledo was rummaging around and trying to figure out how they could get water for their people. With an industrial partner who's going to have such great demands. I'm concerned that the citizens will be given a second-class citizens for water quality and for water availability. Now, I know they'll say, this is critical for our business, this is critical, and I'm sure it is. But we should be building in the capacity that our residents should not suffer if there happens to be a similar kind of weird crisis again. Looking at the blue algae out in the water every season now, that's become commonality. I think we really need to be thinking in terms of what person would want to move to an area if there's any concerns about the water quality being either smelly, which it is definitely smelly at certain times because the water isn't circulating enough, but also concerns that if we don't have the volume to be able to bring in enough water, will the residents be asked to sacrifice first before we're going to ask these industrials to sacrifice? Lighting is one of my pet peeves. I have some neighbors who just love to have their lights on all the time, day and night. Please consider lighting considerations, ballasts, so that it just lights up their department, their parking lot, their entry door, but not the residents who are nearby. We shouldn't be blinded while we're sitting at a stop sign because somebody's decided they want to have a light coming out looking at us, please. See, water supply. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't recall my source. You know, you're on the phone. It's my understanding that the water supply is not adequate currently if we went through the City of Oregon supply, only that we needed to have like a supplemental agreement with the City of Toledo. Did I hear that correctly?
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
Was it-
Major,
Thank
Paul,
you
do you
so
want,
much.
I can answer it if you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll answer it in our participation.
Yeah. That'd be fine. Thank you. I appreciate it because I don't know if that's a rumor, or vicious rumor, or if it's a truism. Thank you. That would be great to know. Oh, air quality. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what the air quality concerns are of a data center, I'll be honest. I do know, I happen to have a boat at Harborview Yacht Club, and we have a constant grit on our boat. When I had that same boat at Perrysburg Boat Club, never had a grit. So I know there's things floating in the air around us. So air quality is a concern, and if it's like gritty enough that I have to clean it off every week, I know I'm breathing it in. Tax revenue, as was mentioned, I understand that when you have development come in, sometimes we work out arrangements, and that will be that perhaps they don't pay property tax, but they range to pay a certain sum to the local school district, so the local school district doesn't suffer. I understand that. I just hope that when you're putting those together to make sure that there's some kind of stipulation that whether they continue in business or not, that money will come. I'm not certain that these data centers, of which are becoming tens of thousands of them proposed throughout the United States, that they won't come to be one day similar to our shopping centers. And that's it. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for the information about the 30 to 45 days.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight regarding the zoning request tied to the proposed data center project. This is not a conceptual or speculative idea. This is an active project already in motion. The Oregon Economic Development Foundation has secured 5 of the 7 needed properties, and the Oregon City Council has previously voted unanimously to support this project in early phases. Tonight's request is about zoning, a standard part of the process for a project of this scale. But I want to take a few moments to address concerns and ground this conversation in facts. What this project brings to Oregon: tens of millions of dollars in private investment, good-paying union construction jobs, permanent facility roles in operations, security, infrastructure, broadband and utility upgrades for surrounding areas, clean, low-impact use, no pollution, crowding, minimal traffic, and critically, new taxable value that directly supports Oregon City Schools. Let me pause on that last point because it matters a lot. Earlier today, I met with Oregon City Schools. What they're facing is not hypothetical, it's real. State-level cuts to educate funding are already hitting districts across Ohio, including ours. Without new sources of local revenue, our schools are at serious risk of losing programs, staff, and student support. That's a reality. This project changes that. Even with tax incentives in place, it creates new taxable value. That means new revenue for the school district, not someday, but in the life of this project. These funds help offset state cuts, stabilize budgets, and provide the resources our kids and teachers deserve. It's one of the few tools we have right now to bring in local funding without asking more from taxpayers. That's smart growth, that's economic development with real human impact. To say this project isn't good for families misses the point. What hurts families is underfunded schools, fewer opportunities for young people to stay and thrive, deteriorating infrastructure, and watching other cities move forward while we stay stagnant. This project helps Oregon move forward. I've also heard concerns tonight about this outcome being predetermined. Let me be clear. City Council supported this project earlier because it aligns with Oregon's long-term economic development plan. That does not make tonight's process invalid. The zoning review is independent, and this commission plays a critical role in that process. Suggesting the outcome is rigged simply because it's progressing is inaccurate and unfair to this commission, to city staff, and to the residents and organizations who have worked with transparency and in good faith. This data center will not hurt Oregon, it will strengthen it. It will support schools, it will create jobs, and it will position our city to compete in a changing economy. Other communities would fight for this opportunity. We have it, let's not lose it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, would you give name and address? Name and address, please? Name and address, please? Nope.
Right now. Rebecca Bennett and 4350 Navarre Suites C.
Thank you.
John Brock, 6136 Grizel Road. I'd like to respond to that. While you've had previous meetings, the most important point is, without full information about the environmental impact, the cost to us as taxpayers for infrastructure, the actual appearance of these data centers, it doesn't matter whether you've held meetings because it's not complete information. No one can make a reasonable decision unless they have all the facts. We have not had all the facts. That's why all these folks are sitting here, is because they have not had the facts. And now, when you're asking for a change in zoning, we are being faced with a decision that appears to us to be already made. And that's not fair. That's not fair to us as taxpayers. And the developer doesn't have to live across the street. He doesn't live in our community. He doesn't have to bear the effects of that. We do.
I wasn't gonna come up, but I have to.
Name and address.
Tom
Name and
Lambert,
address, please. Thank you.
5238 Seaman Road. The one thing Miss Bennett failed to tell you is she is the director of the OEDF. She doesn't live in the city of Oregon. This does not affect her one bit. It affects all of us here, okay? So, yeah, it's gonna have a lot of construction jobs to this. That's right. Every construction job has, you know, that's what it is. It's a construction project. It has tons of jobs. But what's the cost of that project? What's the cost to us? Do we want to lose our air quality? Do we want to lose our clean water? Do we want our electric prices to go up? Not really. I mean, if they can assure us that that stuff's not gonna happen, then let's go with the project. But if they can't assure that, or, oh, maybe this is what it's gonna be, then it's gotta be a no. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to be really clear. I was asked to be at this meeting today under the address 4350 Navarre Suite C because the 5 parcels are in the foundation's name. I'm a party to this hearing. If you would like my home address, if that makes you guys feel better, I will say it. I'm not hiding that I'm the executive director of the OEDF. These letters were sent to my house for these parcels, or to my office. But my home address is 3260 River Road.
Order, please. I do have one comment to make regarding the role of the zoning commission or the planning and zoning commission. Excuse me, please. The role of the planning commission, and specifically with regard to zoning, is not to pick and choose which businesses come to Oregon, which businesses are allowed to operate. The question, and that is the question that we have tonight, whether this space is appropriate for the new zoning request based upon the surrounding zoning in the area and all of the parcels in all directions, and whether or not this is the appropriate zoning. We are not allowed to, as a commission, pick and choose what businesses come in, what industries are located in a certain area. When we have a zoning change on Navarre Avenue, we can't pick and choose which restaurants come in. Our decision is whether or not it's appropriate zoning, whether it be commercial or light industrial or advanced manufacturing. The question for us tonight as a panel is whether or not this small square is appropriate for advanced manufacturing. And just let me point out, the yellow area around it is already advanced manufacturing, and the brown area is commercial industrial. And so that's our question for us tonight, is whether or not this square or this rectangle is the appropriate zoning change to become advanced manufacturing. That is then on, if we approve it and it gets approved by council, what happens to it happens what's allowed in the advanced manufacturing statute that's been passed by Oregon, just like anywhere else. And so that's our decision. Our decision is not to say, well, this should be advanced manufacturing, but you can't have the data center. I don't care what's going there. The question that I have is this appropriate for advanced manufacturing? That's the question that we have.
So when we applied to build our house, we were told it had to be a certain setback from the road, et cetera, et cetera. These are all appropriate considerations, drainage, et cetera. Why does this particular parcel that we're talking about have to be the location of the data center? Could it not be green space? They can certainly change their plans onto where the building is located. If that's a given that it's already zoned for this and council approves it, then they can go forward with what they have. They do not need these parcels to build this building. And I have also heard that they were talking about other parcels for data center number 2, which I'm sure is already coming down the pike. We need to be heard. The citizens of Oregon need to be heard about our concerns. Thank you.
Anyone else?
So So I understand that this is something with the planning commission as to whether it makes sense that this is, assumed into being in the yellow. This is also an opportunity for the planning commission to do what's right for Oregon and stand up and say, this shouldn't be something that is converted, even though everything around it isn't a different thing. Maybe it's time that Oregon be the other community that steps ahead of all the other communities and makes what's best for their community and not what everybody else is doing. And even though it's that part of that parcel that, okay, we can color it all in yellow, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's okay, that it's right. That's something that somebody made decisions on a long time ago were the appropriate decisions for the community of today.
I'll make one last point, and that is, I find it awfully ironic that you have an architectural standards committee that'll tell us what our commercial buildings can look like, what our homes can look like. But here, you're going to develop that parcel. You're going to allow a data center that all you have to do, and if you haven't already done it, I urge everybody in this room to do it, is look online and see what those data centers look like. I guarantee you, it meets no architectural standard that anyone in this room would approve.
So I will say I was at that meeting when they first talked about data centers. And data centers sure beat the heck out of a battery plant, which was what the original plan was. Or smokestacks, maybe one or two. And I say that like snarky, but it's true. That was the plan, and I was like, this is probably it better. My argument, though, is that now I have learned more, and I have researched more. And I have learned through this process, and not for nothing, across the street, and we're not going to talk about that, that some things that I am told are not how they turn out. And my level of trust is nothing. And so what I'm telling you is that there has been a violation of due process. I'm here to argue that. And instead, please, please, please take the opportunity to take these, like that beautiful green space around Eagles Landing, and do something different with the zoning to create buffers. Do something different to up our standards. Why do we not have standards? Or we're not desperate. Maybe we are. But I don't think we are. We don't hire people who aren't qualified for the job, or at least I don't think we are. So let's have some high standards. Take the opportunity. You can do some contingency zoning. Contract zoning is illegal.
Anyone else? I'm going to give an opportunity for the city to speak, and I don't know what order you guys are going to go in and how you want to address it, but I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Mikowski. I just want to clarify for everyone that's here what Advanced Manufacturing District is codified as such. There was a discussion about, well, why don't we have something that steps down from the manufacturing? The way the Advanced Manufacturing District is zoned is the step down. It is the step down from commercial industrial, which allows heavy industrial manufacturing and assembly. It is defined as the Advanced Manufacturing District promotes new and emerging industries in the development of new and better products through the use of advanced production technologies. It is leaner and cleaner with less impact. This district is intended to promote clean, advanced manufacturing, research and development opportunities, logistics, and other similar businesses. If you go to the chart, a data center is permitted in that chart, along with many other opportunities. So it is a step down. To someone who is wondering that they're all very ugly, the advanced manufacturing does have architectural requirements, does have landscaping and buffer standards. All of that is that step down to a residential neighborhood. So all of that is built in to the advanced manufacturing zoning district. Not everyone calls that the same. That is how ours is defined. So it is definitely a step down. Thank you.
And if I could, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Strike read my mind on the step down. When we established the advanced manufacturing, we were very proud of that because we were sick of seeing smokestacks up in the air. We wanted something cleaner, and this was that way of separating it. That area was listed as commercial and industrial. It could still remain, CI in that future land use plan. It's changed to advanced manufacturing. There was a lot of very good concerns made tonight. On the water side, our water plant capacity is 16 MGD, million gallons per day. Our average demand is around 9 million gallons per day. Our peak demand is around 13. So when we get industrial development requests, they say how much water is available. I like to say 2 to 3 MGD, all right? These data centers on average use a half to 1 MGD, all right? The mention of, could you use Toledo water? Well, the second power plant is a big water user, and they're planning carbon capture with their power plant proposal, which would be, no pollution in the air, which would be great if they can do it, but it does use a lot of water. With that, we do have an agreement with the city of Toledo to provide water to that because that demand is going to be like 13 MGD, okay? So that's the difference between those two scenarios, just so all of you know. Second power plant will probably be served with Toledo water, but this development will be served with Oregon water, and we do have the capacity. That's it.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mazur?
Thank you. So there were a lot of things that were said here, and I totally understand where everybody's at. So I want to address a few of the questions that were asked and give a little perspective from my perspective as city administrator for the city of Oregon. The first thing is there is an air permitting. There was a question about air permits. There is a air permitting contingency in this agreement that we have. So what they're planning on doing, this developer, would be to build what they call gas modules on the site. So think of them as natural gas, simple cycle natural gas turbines for all the engineers out there. But they're basically natural gas generators that they can produce their own power. Don't know if it's enough of what they need, but it's enough to keep them going. And they would also connect to the grid. So I'm kind of going to dovetail into one of the other questions is what's going to happen with our reliability of electricity? Well, in Oregon, the electric grid is built very stout. There are a lot of transmission lines, and that's a lot of history here because of the Bayshore Power Plant. And in the northern part of the city, there are a lot of large transmission lines that the company can tap into directly. So very close to the site. I believe it's just over the railroad tracks from where this location is. I'll jump into the visual or the look. I have done homework on these. I actually took a noise meter down to New Albany, Ohio. I sat at the fence line as close as I could get. It read 66 decibels on the noise meter, which is, but I'll tell you that when I stood at the fence, I could hear what sounded like a fan blowing in the distance. So it was as close as I could get to the fence line to the property. Not sure on this data center how that's going to be, but I know that going to New Albany, but that's the noise readings I took. Also, visually, there, and I'll just, going off of what it looked like in New Albany, they were decent looking, very nice, 60-foot tall-ish buildings. They didn't look bad to me. There was landscaping, there was a black fence, more landscaping, a mound buffer, and then right before you get to the sidewalk, there was a white picket fence or a split rail fence painted white. As the developer has been here to address city council in one of the meetings, and said that, you know, they try to make them look visually appealing and not look like eyesores. So we do have architectural standards that we follow in the zoning code for advanced manufacturing for that purpose. There was a comment about air quality and grit. You know, I don't know how to address that piece of it, but what I do know from what I know of the site is that it would be natural gas energy. So I think that the Bayshore plant, now Walleye Power, is a plant that burns pet coke from the refinery and then sends steam back as a byproduct to the refinery. So can't tell you where the grit comes from offhand, but you know, I'd like to know more. Whoever asked that, I don't remember who it was, but is that you? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to know more about that, if you could stay afterwards. As for utility rates and water usage, I think Paul addressed some of it. What I have from an email from the representative of the data center is that it's minimal water usage compared to other data centers. So somewhere in the 20 to 30,000 gallon a day range. If for context, that is not a lot of water usage for a site of this size. Some data centers are you know, that I've researched use over 2 million gallons a day. Right now, our water plant has a capacity of about 2.5 to 3 million gallons a day right now. Excess. Yeah, so at our peak time. So we produce 16 million gallons a day at the water treatment plant. And at peak, the city of Oregon uses about 13 million gallons a day. So in that range, give or take, plus or minus. In terms of utility rates, though, for water and sewer usage, the more water usage we have, the better it is and more it stabilizes water rates. So having water customers, especially for a governmental entity, as a pass-through entity, water and sewer rates and utility bills are enterprise funds. So those are used strictly for water and sewer, and the city is just a pass-through entity. So you're getting water out of the tap at cost of what it is to treat it, deliver it, take the sewage and treat the sewage for discharge. So I know not everybody knows that, so I wanted to go through that process. As for the benefits to the community, you know, there's a lot of different directions I think we could go in on this one, but I'm going to talk from my perspective and kind of dovetail into, as budget director for the City of Oregon as an organization, this is a good project for the city. We talk about funding police and fire, roads, parks and recreation. These are all general fund expenses. Water and sewer are, again, handled separately because they are enterprise funds and they run off of the utility bills. So whatever utility bills you pay goes towards the water and sewer enterprise funds. But for general fund purposes, that's parks and recreation, roads, police and fire and courts, the majority of it. And drainage too, yeah, that's right. So what I'm getting at is, so if there is a tax incentive or tax break given for the property taxes, that would translate to, and I'm getting into some of the details, but what typically happens in these agreements is you get a payment in lieu of taxes. So the city doesn't get a lot of property taxes. So why would the city care that a data center shows up at the site and develops here? Well, if you abate the taxes and then they give a payment in lieu of taxes, which is common to the city, that's where the city would make revenue. So as budget director, this is actually a really lucrative project for the city of Oregon that would help pay for, the cost, the ongoing costs and expenses that we have every day. I did want to comment on there's a comment made about backdoor deals and things like that. And, I get it as government, a lot of people don't trust government, totally understand that, and we do our best to communicate all of these processes to everybody whenever we can. My understanding is that, I haven't been here for 8 years. I do live here, actually kind of nearby here, but the industrial park is something that's been in the process for a very long time, almost a decade. And the best we can do, and the reason is for industrial development is for the financial benefit of the city of Oregon. And that's just what it is. We do have 2 refineries, 2 hospitals. Those are very big employers. If one of those were to shut down or close up shop, that would be to the city's detriment greatly. So I see the vision of why this has come to fruition the way it has. And again, going back to the usage of a data center before, I think it was always talked about as becoming manufacturing of some sort, big job creator, lots of traffic, whatever it is. But a data center, that's less traffic, more of a passive use. I actually sat out in front of a data center for about an hour when I was in New Albany, and I really didn't see any traffic coming in and out of there. So it was just real quiet other than the 66 decibel fans blowing in the distance. And I get the, going back to the, there's some backdoor deal going on. I mean, this has been talked about very openly for the last year. And I recognize that sometimes for me even, it feels like an attack on my integrity. And look, this, as Scott's mentioned before, none of the planning commission members were informed of this prior to this meeting before them getting the notice. We're doing everything, communicating as best we can, doing everything that we can on the up and up for Oregon. And that's what staff does. That's what we do every day. Whether it be a police officer, an administrator, public service director, we're trying to do right by the city every single day. So, and as going back to what's the benefit to the city, the benefit to the city as a whole is the financial benefit that, the city would get more revenue for the services that we provide and help keep taxes and costs down for the residents in the long term. So that's all I have to say. I hope I answered all the questions, but I'll leave it at that and turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
How many permanent jobs?
no, I'll get to that. Mr. Chairman,
Mayor Safarian.
okay, and I want to start out by saying, from the onset, I was a big proponent of this data center, and I still am. And I'll give you some of the reasons why. Is number one, this property, most of it, maybe not the stuff we're talking about zoning today, but the rest of it was always seen as an industrial park. It was always going to be industrial development. It was not going to be a park. It was not going to be a subdivision. It was going to be industrial development. And likely from our thoughts from the past, because the city gets revenue from the 2.25 payroll income tax, so there has to be employees. And so it would be a heavy manufacturing development that would be there for it to be profitable for us. Usually heavy manufacturing has a whole bunch of traffic. It has a bunch of, it's a manufacturing plant. So there are air emissions control devices on a manufacturing plant. There are a lot of things that go with it. So when we had the opportunity to look at a data center, number one, I first off was against it, thinking the city needs employees to get revenue. Because property tax, any of the property tax you guys pay, we get approximately 4% of that, which wouldn't even pay for your garbage pickup. So property tax is not a biggie for the city of Oregon when we're looking at revenues. But being that it's a mega project, the state allows us to do things, like Joel Mazer said, a payment in lieu of taxes, where we can split the payment that's agreed to by by this company with the schools, and we can both generate multi-millions of dollars every year. Way more than what we could get from a manufacturing plant. We would have to have 8,000 plus employees to get what we will get out of this data center. We also are an industrial-based city. We get a lot of our revenue and our luxuries in this city due to the income that we get from our 2 refineries. Refineries do business differently than they have in the past. They're going to continue to change. Even though they still operate, the amount of revenue we get from each of those 2 refineries is less each year. They call for refunds. How they do their business, their net profits, earnings do not reflect the same numbers they did in the past. So any given year, we may have to refund $4 or $5 million of what we could try to expect to run the city. We run the city with approximately $30 million, not counting the water and wastewater, because these are your real city services. We have not been, Brenda Gift brought up, are we in dire straits? Sort of. We are sort of in dire straits because we are using our reserve funds that we build up over the years to make ends meet, and we are depleting them. We can go on for so many years and they'll be gone. So when we had the opportunity, due to the fact that this is a mega project, we had the opportunity to bring in real dollars for not only us, but the school systems, who's in way more dire straits than we are, especially if that property tax deal passes in the state of Ohio, which has a reasonable chance to do it. There's only one way to keep those schools going. There's only one way to keep the city services going, would be to raise taxes. That is reality. That would have to happen. Or cut city services. We don't want to do that. So we are innovative people here. We looked at all the options, and the data center produces the most income at the least impact. Any of you that live around there, understand, I live close, but a little farther away. I'll have to pass this, and knowing that the choices were we hope to land something to fill the industrial park so that we have the income to meet the same needs that we have with the current city services. A manufacturing plant would impact every one of us in a more negative manner than this data center. And I know Brenda Gift was up before several times. She stood up, she said at that, and she has a right to change her mind, I welcome a data center. I don't mind living across the street from a data center. And maybe when she found out more, she's a right to have a different opinion. But knowing that it could be compared to a manufacturing plant, better fit than she could have. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. This is an impact to the area, but there's a real positive things with it also. Huge income. In the end, not a lot of jobs. In the end, it might have 200 jobs. However, the 200 jobs doesn't mean much in revenue, but our revenues come from the different source, the payment in lieu of taxes, which is a huge number. Not a decent number, better than anything we could have ever dreamed of with a manufacturing plant. So when we're looking at continuing city services, people, the city doing financially well, we have to have something there. And the best that I believe we can hope for in a development is a data center versus just about any other massive plant that would draw the type of revenue that we're going to need to keep the city going at the rate you expect and actually move it ahead of what we're offering services ahead of what we're doing. We do have now a full-staffed fire department that costs more than our paid on call. Our paid on call was not effective. We could not make calls. A lot of times we had the call go out and no one responded. So the fully staffed fire department that actually shows up to your house when you call is something that we required, but it costs more money. Every time we add police officers, they cost money. We had complaints that there's a few streets out there that have not been repaved or have some damage to it. Lo and behold, if you check other cities around here, I still think you'll find that our streets are in better shape than any of the surrounding communities. Yes, do we have some that need repair? We do. But Mr. Roman evaluates the streets every year, and what's left at the end of the budget, we schedule to take care of as many of those as possible with the revenues we have. We make adult decisions, and sometimes it leaves some roads in a little need of repair when we'd like to fix them, but we live within the constraints of our budget. This increases our budget. It allows us to do way more things and actually not get into our reserve funds, which are deleting very quickly. So we have two options: increase revenues with business and industry, or raise taxes or cut services. Those are the choices. We don't want to cut services. We don't want to raise taxes. It leaves us one option. That one option is a revenue stream. And for the impact of the city, there's nothing that produces this kind of revenue with this little impact. That's why I supported it. And we are in a slight dire straits situation financially. It is not going to go away unless we do something. I believe this is the best possibility that this city can take advantage of. If you check, and anybody that's running any other city around here said, do you have the opportunity to get a data center in your industrial area, they would love to take it from us. Competition is great. Everybody wants it. Gary Thompson's here from the Regional Growth Partnership, and I think he can tell you, Gary, how many communities would kill to get this? Almost every county in America. It is an opportunity that, and we address the water rates that impact your bills. You have the lowest water rates in the state of Ohio, in the city of Oregon. You have some of the safest water in the city, in the not only the state but the country. We have ozone that totally sanitizes in 0.8 seconds every gallon of water that leaves that plant. So we have a quality product at the cheapest rate in the state. We have a reasonable price on our sanitary sewers. We have a great police department. We now have a great serving fire department, and we want to keep those services. It's the only way we know. There's no magic wand. There's no money tree here. The only thing we have is the opportunity, and I'll do everything to see to it that we get this plant, because we don't have a lot of choice.
So there was an economic analysis, and is that published?
It's not a secret. We've been spending
It's typical that you would do an economic analysis, and it would be useful for.
we do an economic evaluation every year. We watch it, you know, everything. We have auditors that come in and audit every dollar that we spend.
This particular project, has it been evaluated not the city.
I don't know by who. I've economically developed or evaluated it
Cite all
and
the
saying,
benefits, but I don't see any evidence. I'd like to see some numbers.
I'll tell you what you will see, evidence if we don't have it.
I'm a numbers guy.
All right.
I'm an engineer. I would like to see numbers. Every project we've ever done, we've produced numbers.
Okay.
For the project.
I will tell you this, the next step, after this, and after the detailed power study comes and we get to close on that $17.3 million and negotiate the final dollars. I don't want to tell you the dollars until, if we can't negotiate it, this project stops. But if we do know the value.
Decisions based on some evidence. I would like to just see what it is.
Okay, and you will. You'll have that opportunity when we negotiate. I can't tell you what that number is. I can tell you in prior conversations, we know roughly where the number is, and it's a huge number. Okay, big number. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. There's reality, Chris.
Okay, I'm gonna put a stop to all of this. We are here for a zoning change. We're not here to debate whether or not the data center that's going there or not going there is the issue. The issue here is a zoning change. I am the planning commission chairman, and my intent is to keep it on the zoning change.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that real well.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Mazur.
thank you. The question was, if this zoning change doesn't happen, then does the data center still have a chance to develop the rest of the property? The answer is, according to this agreement, that they have the option to develop the remaining property, the remaining balance, but it also gives them an option to walk away from it. So I know, from my understanding, data centers need lots of acreage. I'm sure you've heard or seen anybody that's done research on them, you know, usually in the 200 acre range. I know this site is 160, did I say 168? 168 acres total. Yeah. Yeah, usually they look for areas that have lots of acreage, definitely over 100 acres. And it's.
Also available for development? I
May,
don't quite understand why this particular block of property, why you wouldn't use some of that other industrial commercial land as well.
so, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Mazur.
for me. The city and the OEDF do have land control over the what's in yellow, almost everything that's in green that we're talking about tonight. And then, you know, that's south of Parkway and east of Blue Heron Drive. The city and OEDF have land control over that. To the north of that, north of Parkway Road, actually is the zoned industrial. That's where the power plant, I think Mr. Roman had alluded to this, that's where the power plant would be going. And then if you go further east, there's a little bit of property that the OEDF has control of, but the rest of it is all privately owned and operating businesses there. So the option to expand in that direction economically for property acquisitions is not, in my opinion, in the best interest of the city unless there's a payback somewhere on the back end, right? So that's what it comes down to, is the economic impact. And when you have the businesses and more homes as you go west, it's much more difficult to get that acquired.
You work with what you have. So if this zoning change is not approved, I assume the developer would be able to changes building plans or site plans to accommodate that.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, Mayor?
I'll tell you, to get a multi-billion-dollar project, a lot has to line up. If that does not line up, that data center is not going to happen. You want to be reality? That's reality. It's real. It will not happen.
Can you come to the mic? Because it doesn't pick up, the recording doesn't pick up real well if you're not at the mic.
So the question I have for you is, and I respect you going out there, you said you went to New Albany, you got to the gates. You guys are so proud of this project, why didn't they open you with open arms to go ahead and tour the facility? Have you toured one of the properties around there? Have you investigated or just talked to any of the residents when you were there? You went to one went to one data center. What about going to a couple of them? If you're gonna go ahead and do this for the company, or for, I should say, the community, it just seems like you didn't do thorough enough on your investigation. I just wanted to know that, were they open to you going there? You said you stood by the fences. I think they would be more than happy to go ahead and tour you around the facility, and you would wind up going around the community and finding out some more questions on that. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
I
was
don't know
made
if you wanted
apparent-
me to answer that or not.
I would like to.
Yeah.
Was it a time frame? Was it, I mean, again, you guys were proud of this, and it just seems like, you put the decibel, which I've been to some data centers, okay? So your decibel is one thing that you're just saying. I'd be happy to go ahead and show you a couple of decibels as well. The gentleman down over there said every community would love to have this. Is that correct? Is that correct? Almost every county in the country. Well, you just said everyone. I would love to go ahead and submit.
All right, no, we're gonna stop. This is not a data center dispute or a data center discussion. This is a zoning issue. Whether you wanna take that up with Mr. Mazer, Mr. Thompson, or the mayor, we can do that. We're gonna move forward on the zoning change request, because we can be here all night. The floor is open for a closure to the public hearing. Councilperson Ackerman.
Matter of housekeeping, please.
Absolutely.
Beth Ackerman, 931 Berry Road. I'm welcoming this discourse only because it's sad that it gets to this point where the public is getting enough information to have the questions, to have the input. So I know it's painful to be asked questions, but it's a good growth process, and I think it's a great exchange of information. I think the public welcomes it. But my question is, Councilman Drake was not allowed to vote remotely. Is Ms. Purpura, just as a matter of record, is Ms. Purpura, she's approving of Mr. Youssef, Mr. Olive, who I greatly admire. Is this permissible for the planning commission to do a remote vote? I'm asking, I don't know the answer.
Mr. Chairman, I do know the answer.
I'm just based on Mr. Drake not being allowed.
The mayor's, I think, prepared to answer that question, so yeah.
And I am, and Melissa and I both contacted the state, and the state does make a provision that boards and commissions can vote electronically, but elected officials cannot. So that's the difference, and we double verified it. And I could read this all to you, but that,
You can email it to me.
Yeah.
That'd be great, thank you.
That will be submitted
yeah.
into the record as well.
you can have it.
Okay, one other thing I just want to point out is that Mayor Safarian, you get a vote, correct?
Is what?
You get a vote in
I
this
do.
today? You come in obviously very biased on the situation. They are pleading ignorance to knowing anything about the data center, correct? And I know this is strictly a zoning situation. You're just talking about changing a zoning, but a bias is obvious, whether it's present or not. So I just want, for the record, the mayor has selected, I believe one of them is at least a political appointment. Basically, I equate it to stacking the deck. So as a matter of record, I just believe that This planning commission is going to vote, and I do believe some of you have the ability to be objective. But so that the public understands, the mayor has appointed, how many of you were appointed by
All of
Mayor
us.
Safarian? Yeah, so just as a matter of record, so the public knows that's what, and it's permissible. That's what our charter dictates. So but I just think it should be a matter of record that
So noted.
That was asked.
And I am demonstrably offended by your comments.
I
That
said
I
you were
may or
a-
may not be compromised because I was appointed by the mayor. I have been a resident of this city for 31 and a half years. It will be 32 years on October 14th. I have brought my business here. I have been involved in this city, and you've just insinuated that my vote on this council can be bought. And I
No,
am
I did
deeply
not say
offended
that.
by that.
I did not say that.
Excuse me, I have the floor. I have the floor. And I'm deeply insinuating that I am offended by what you just insinuated against this board. And whether or not the mayor has appointed me, I was actually appointed by Mayor Brown prior to Mayor Safarian on this board. I am not an employee with one caveat. I am an acting judge for Judge Kovacs on a temporary basis, and so I do get a paycheck from Oregon when I appear for Judge Kovacs as an acting judge. Other than that, I am not employed. I was appointed by Mayor Brown to this committee 20 years ago, and I was reappointed by Mayor Safarian. And I have, with my own due diligence, have tried to maintain what I think is in the best interest of this city and this community, because I live here, because my business is here, my children went to school here, and I have been here for years, and it was my choice to come here. I was not born here. It was a choice that I made in coming to the city of Oregon and lived here. And so I'm deeply offended by anything that would insinuate that I can be bought or I
I
am
never said
assumed
that.
to have been,
I never said that.
Mr. Chairman.
me.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
I have the floor. You are not intended to interrupt me. So I will allow the mayor to speak.
I just want to say that is correct. The mayor does appoint any of the members on the board, but it does not happen unless council concurs with it. So they all have to vote to affirm, or a majority of council has to vote to make it happen. So it does not happen just on the mayor's whim. I'll put my buddies on it. They have to agree to it too. And so anybody who sits on this board was confirmed by council.
By a majority, not necessarily all.
I said that already, Beth.
Yeah. Well, just to clarify, Mr. Winkowski, I asked who put you on here, how everyone got on here.
Mayor Brown.
Then, thank you. And I also said, I do believe some of you have the ability to be objective, for the record. So thank you for answering about Mr. Drake's situation. Mr. Olive he's totally within the legal right to vote, because that, certainly after months of Mr. Drake not being able to vote, I have to ask that question.
Okay.
So I thank you for that, and it's a matter of record, just how boards and commissions are appointed. I just want the public to be educated about that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good God.
She promised it was done.
I think the concern, Mayor Safarian, is that you're very close to this, and that you'd made a statement to us that you selected the group that is pursuing the data center. Along the way, three have been very straightforward with us. So I think you're very close to it, and you probably shouldn't vote. And that's just, I think there's a conflict. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Let me address this, Mayor.
Could I please? I think I just.
And then I'll give it to you. The mayor has a vote on this board on all of the requests that come before this board. It is in our ordinances passed by council. If council wants to remove the vote, and the planning commission is the only vote that the mayor of the city of Oregon gets. It is the only vote that the mayor of the city of Oregon, he gets nothing while city council's in session. He gets no vote on anything and any legislation. If council felt as though the mayor were compromised in any of his decision-making on the planning commission, they would take that vote away from him as well. And that doesn't go just for Mayor Safarian, it goes for all the mayors we've ever had. Mayor.
I was just going to say, the city charter puts the mayor on the planning commission for a reason. Because the mayor would express by design the opinion of the city after evaluating everything. I have been mayor for almost 16 years now. I was a councilman for 20 years before that. I lived in the city since I was 4 years old. I plan to die in the city. So I take everything to heart here. I live my job here. I live it every day. I feel the agony different people have. I go to sleep with it. I wake up with it. It's part of the job. I enjoy it. But I do take it very serious. And even though I know there's negative impacts with everything, when you weigh out negatives versus positive, what is the best use for this industrial area? It's hard for me to imagine something better than a data center in an industrial park coming to that location. It's really, it always was seen as industrial park. Most of the land was zoned M2 or CI, which would allow for way more impact types of businesses than a data center. That's why I support it. Never hid from it, never denied it, always promoted it. And I get blamed for having a lack of transparency. Day one, I was for it, and every day after that. Never hid from it, and always said it. To a job of this magnitude, if different disclosures would lose us the opportunity to even have it. It is a very difficult thing to pull off here. Very difficult. Extremely difficult. And you're doing a balancing act the whole time. I've learned to do the things. We actually applied for different things for this area, knowing we wouldn't accept it, just to get the training so that we knew when we got the right fit that we would come in prepared. We were prepared.
We're gonna stay on topic. Topic here is the zoning change, and I'm gonna move forward. The floor is open for a closing of the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move for closure of the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Hearing none opposed. The public hearing is closed. Any discussion from the panel?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Olive?
I'd like to ask either Paul or Joe on the project review committee, was the fire chief advised, and what was his position on that, please?
Mr. Olive, just to answer, Mr. Chair, if I may, and Mr. Olive. In our review, we don't have the fire chief is not in the review. It's the staff you have before you. It's myself, Mr. Roman, and Mr. Shrake. And I don't recall, was Rodney and Rodney Schultz, deputy city engineer.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the panel? Floor is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I've not been shy through this whole operation.
Mayor?
And I would move for passage of Z 821-25, 822-25, 823-25, 824-25, and 925-25. 25.
There has been a motion and a
Wait,
second.
825. All right, 825.
Who's the second?
Mr. Zale was the second. If you would take the roll, please.
Mayor Safarian?
Yes.
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
Mr. Olive?
Yes.
Chairman Winkowski?
Yes. This matter will now go to before council. Within the next 30 to 45 days, council will have at least one hearing of it, and we'll vote on it at that point in time. Thank you. Matter number 2 before us today is SUE 189-25, special use in an R2 medium-density residential zone district for the purpose of operating a hair salon. The applicant owner is Jennifer Cannon Piscina. The location is 506 South Lallendorf. For those not aware, it's the old restaurant that was on Lallendorf and Star Avenue.
Most people would know that as the Ritz, the past Ritz.
Or BJ's, right?
Yes.
Not sure who's introducing from the city. Mr. Schrake.
Mr. Chair, the Project Review Committee met on Tuesday, July 8th, and discussed the fact that the existing building will require a change of use, as the previous special use exemption approved for this location was for the use as a restaurant, which has expired due to inactivity over 2 years. The property has reverted back to an R2 medium-density residential use. The proposed special use exemption for a hair salon will present less of an impact on the neighborhood than the previous restaurant use. Therefore, the Project Review Committee and the Building and Zoning Department have no objections to the request as submitted.
Thank you. Ms. Canapacina, you're up. Tell us what you're.
I just want to open a prettier salon.
Come on up. That's what you got to say.
That was quite an icebreaker. Hello, I'm Jen Cannon. I currently own Meraki Salon Studio on Star in the Star Square Plaza. I have 17 staff members and we are out of space. And so I'm just looking to grow and offer more job opportunities, specifically for the young girls leaving Clay High School. I have nowhere to put anybody anymore. And it was a building that just happened to be available, and I looked at others, and it needs a lot of work. It might be a year until I'm in, but that's the plan.
Were you successful in purchasing and you own the building now?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I was not able to apply for the special use permit until I did own the building.
And that
so-
was after the auction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep. So I have about $250,000, $300,000 going into the property itself. So I know selling it for $88,000 doesn't look great to surrounding neighbors, but I can assure them that the appraised value will go up
Absolutely.
significantly.
Absolutely. Mrs. Gladio, you have a comment?
I would just ask some questions for what this means. Sure.
Come on up.
And this isn't for you.
Okay.
I mean, if I could just walk and get my nails done.
Okay. No, but here's my question, and this is because I've lived next door for 30-some years.
Yep.
And we've had it with Wilson's. It wasn't the Ritz there, but then you had this scandal of Game Time. That was horrible. And then BJ was a good neighbor. But it's been vacant for probably before COVID. So, yeah, at least 6 years. I know that it is in a residential. We were told it can never be bulldozed and have another commercial property. It would have to be a house. So the original structure must remain intact, and then you could gut the interior and not go farther out. I want to make sure that this zoning doesn't override that original
whatever was in the charter or whatever you call it from way back when? And then second, what does that mean? What's the difference between that zoning? Because when BJ came and got a special use permit, it cannot operate beyond 10 o'clock. And that was what we were told. And I'm not sure what the hours will be, but we want to make sure that that stipulation for that property remains, that it cannot be open beyond 10 o'clock PM. So, and what's the difference between a bar and a salon?
Mr. Chairman, I think I can address that.
They might be able to serve beer.
No, and
Yeah.
And Chris, I think I can address that.
There's
And,
Varian, all yours.
okay. She actually, if she got this zoning or special use, would actually be able to take the building down and build it as the specified use that's declared in the special use. What BJ's is his first and main option that he would always had would have been conducting that as a restaurant due to a grandfather clause. The grandfather clause would require that building to stay. If the building came down, then he would lose the rights of the grandfather clause. So he had a trump card even if he didn't get the special use. He got the special use and allowed conditions to be put on to try to satisfy the neighborhood and you and the neighbors. And I think he, for the most part, did that. And he was going to try to do it again, but he wasn't able to open the restaurant. So, no, those hours, we would have to install that on her SUE permit to say business hours, limit them now. Otherwise, she would be able to do just whatever is in that SUE.
Okay, so then now you've raised my concern a little bit more, because I know, I've been in that property, it should be gutted.
And I think she plans to do that. I've seen the dumpsters there. And
It's horrible, but, so if she's not successful in her business venture and then goes to sell it, then what can that future owner do on that property? And what, based on this zoning, what could the future owner operate?
Okay.
Mr. Schrick.
Hopefully not a data center.
No.
Mr. Chair, two things of clarification. This is a special use exemption is not a zoning change, okay? It will remain R2. A special use exemption is an allowance or an exception that allows for a different use than what the zoning is. It is not a zoning change, okay? So I just want to clarify that. It's not a zoning change. It's not being requested as a zoning change. If it was, we would be going through with the sign that it is a zoning change, and we'd be having a different hearing. This is a special use exemption, which after it passes through this body, will go before city council, and they would approve or disapprove the special use exemption, with the potential of any caveats or anything that would be related to that special use. So it could be on hours of operation, it could be that it reverts back to, or it expires upon change of ownership. They could put any other restrictions on that special use exemption at that time of adoption.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Robin Burnett. I live on the other side of the supposed salon on 446 South Wallendorf Road. I don't have an objection to the salon. I really don't. I think it might be a good thing, but like Chris just said, if something was to happen and she decided it was way over her head and she wanted to dismiss it, which. So, and if she decided she wanted to dismiss it, then it comes into play, who's gonna buy it and what permission and what allowance has been opened, what door has been opened that they are allowed to have. So that's my concern, because we live in a quiet residential residence, and we fought against BJ's Restaurant for outside patio and entertainment. And, I mean, we live in a quiet little spot, and we didn't want loud music. We didn't like prime time with the bars and the bikers that were going down all hours of the night down our streets. I mean, it's a quiet, I don't know if you know where this is. I'm sure you probably do, but it's a quiet little place, and we want to keep it that way. That's why I said for a salon, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. But if this falls through, what doors are being opened? And how can we protect ourselves as residents from any future prospect that might come in to make it an adult store or something that's provocative, or a bar, you know? I mean, we don't want that.
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
and I can appreciate your concerns, and what I'll tell you is it would resort back to R2 zoning. Someone could go to court and try to make the claim that the grandfather clause for a restaurant would still exist. But any of those other things, you said no, that nothing else. Somebody would have to fight for that right. And there would be a reasonable chance. I believe we might put a condition that if we issue that special use with the condition that she loses the right to claim a grandfather clause for a restaurant, I think we could incorporate that. Mr. Schrake,
Mr. Chair,
that might be a legal question we have to answer.
and Mayor, the concept of the grandfather clause jumping over two uses.
Pretty slim.
That would be something that our law department would need to weigh in, but I think that would be a far stretch. Because once you've now reverted to some other use, you can't just jump back and say, well, back in the day. It kind of loses any grandfathering. Grandfathering typically is a continuous use. As for what happens if she were to leave, this would automatically revert back to R2 residential. And if anyone were to purchase it and want to use it for any other use besides residential, they would have to go through the same process, which is a two-hearing public process. And all of you and the neighbors can come in and make your concerns known. As to adult bookstore or any of those types of things, those would require automatically anywhere a special use exemption, and those most likely would not be permitted because of its proximity to residential, proximity to a park where children are, proximity to any of that. So that's never going to happen. But every special use exemption, just like this one, expires upon 2 years of inactivity. So even if she were to close up shop but still own it and not use it for 2 years, the special use exemption expires.
Okay, so you're saying that it's safe to say, and if I'm understanding you correctly, that if she doesn't make it as a salon and she closes up her shop, sells the place, it goes back to an R2, it is an R2, it stays as an R2. No doors have been opened for anything else, so anything that it would be bought or addressed would have to come to this meeting first. So I ask you to make sure that's recorded and
Yeah,
you
well,
wrote.
That,
You
that's,
are in a better position tomorrow than you were 6 months ago.
That I do understand. My concern isn't with Jen or what
No,
she's
understand
doing.
that, but you
My
are
concern
into the
is
future.
the future. If
Because we-
something, because we don't know the future.
By allowing this, which is a salon, to me, we have eliminated the right to someone putting a restaurant, a bar, what it was all in the past. Because we've now leaped to another use, and this is the only use we're allowing. And we're eliminating all those other uses. I think someone could have bought it as a restaurant, come in and opened it up as a restaurant
have, yeah.
prior to what we're doing today.
Yeah.
I think we've now closed that door on a restaurant, and we've only said salon,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
But just to address, I do understand the concerns.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a beautiful neighborhood, that's why it's so appealing to me and why I was willing to even put the work and the money into the building. We're open Monday through Saturday, we open at 10 o'clock in the morning, we close at 8 PM, we're closed on Sundays. I have a great staff, most of them are from the Oregon area. I have no intentions on changing the structure, the outside of the building, other than to update windows, paint. I'd love to get rid of the eyebrow. or whatever it's called.
told me all this.
Well, I
appreciate it, and
Well, they were- they
the
were
idea, so
trying.
like I said, I am totally not against what you're doing.
Okay, I just want it, so, others can hear too.
Thank you all for your input. Anybody else?
I didn't sign in, may I sign in and speak?
Are you gonna speak on this one?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Mark 1 and 430 South Lallendorf. I'm going to finish talking here. I myself am not opposed to having a salon there, but I'm just confused a little bit on the process of what I'm hearing here today. The property was sold, and when it was sold, it was an R2.
Yes.
But then, when the restaurant was there, the 2 years had expired. He came back to here for another SUE,
Correct,
and then it was granted.
correct.
But you're saying after the 2 years, no activity, it goes back to the R2.
It never left R2. It was always R2 with a special use.
It is R2,
It was
okay, the SUE.
It was an R2 with a gold ticket.
Yes, okay. But what I'm confused a little bit about is the grandfather clause. Is there a written document anywhere on that? I've kind of searched a little bit, could not find nothing. I've heard about it.
The mayor can talk about that.
We can put that behind us.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mark, I
Yes.
believe that what Mr. Shake said on the second time, that the ability to bring up the grandfather clause becomes so minuscule that the chances of somebody prevailing on it, that it's almost non-existent.
Understood.
BJ did have that right. She could make the claim right now to open a restaurant with the grandfather clause because it last was used as. And that was what there was before zoning. 100 years ago, there was a restaurant on there.
Sure.
Before any zoning come in. But after this, I would say we wouldn't need to put that condition on. Grandfather clause
Okay, good.
is
And then I just have two concerns about the property, though. And one would be the drainage of the property. Is it going to be drained to Lallendorf Road, or is it going to be drained to the back of the property where it's already a swamp? I don't know if you know about the problems back there. It holds water. It
I
holds
assume the
water
drainage
all
isn't
year
gonna
long.
change.
So which way the drainage would go?
I'm assuming
And
the
then-
drainage isn't gonna change. She's not really changing the building. You're not building a new building.
Draining drains into my driveway. All the parking lot drains.
Issues for Paul Roman.
Well, it should.
Issues for Paul Roman. ROMAN, Paul Roman. Drainage.
I believe it should be addressed, and then also on the previous talk, they were about lighting pollution. The existing lighting in the parking lot shines into my backyard, even the people on Star Avenue, and I think it'd be a good idea for the city to maybe looking into light pollution, the way lights are directed to go straight down instead of where you can see them a half mile away. I just think it'd be good for the community. And Pardon?
It's in the code.
Okay, okay.
that's
So then
something we'll
that will
look at.
be more likely addressed before it opens up, I guess.
Absolutely.
All right, and, yes. Okay, good. Well, I know a way to turn them off. But anyways, thank you for taking over the property and good luck with your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice, going three times. The chair will make a motion to close the public hearing.
No objection.
Hearing no objections, the public hearing is closed. The chair will make a motion on SUE 189-25 and move to issue and pass the SUE 189-25.
Second.
Roll, please.
Chairman Winkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Safarian.
Yes.
Mr. Olive,
Yes.
Mr. Zale.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Your cooperation and your opinions do truly matter. Thank you.
And forever.